Okay, Jason, how you doing? All right. So, you know, I would just recommend against this. I don't think you should repurpose old style guides and things like that. I think that we should really be designing. As a student, it's really important to just design everything from scratch. So try not to repurpose things. I know I speak for probably some of your other instructors when I say that as well. It's just a great practice just to keep things fresh and keep your design wheels spinning, so to speak, by continuing to design new pieces as opposed to trying to repurpose old pieces. So let's go ahead and jump over here. Now, the first thing I notice in the work is that the only thing we're showing here is your logo and your monogram. We don't have the word mark in here. Here's your monogram and here's your logo. So don't forget, this is a three-part system, including a logo, a word mark, and a monogram. So we'll have to get that word mark in there. Right now, the logo, I think, it's a little bit out of balance. And the reason I say that is because I'm not exactly sure if these are supposed to be centered, these words, but they're not. And we can see right now this one kind of there's a little bit of an indent there, a little bit of an indent there, but we're not following the same kind of center here. This just kind of gets staggered. So my recommendation here is to make sure that is centered. Make sure it's centered on the central axis of, or what appears to be the central axis of the mark itself. So if the center of the mark itself from here to here is right here, you wouldn't center it there. You would just kind of do it visually to see how it looks the most balanced. But these can definitely be centered around a central axis, so you will definitely want to do that. I do not recommend stroking letters. It changes the shapes of the letters and causes all sorts of problems, as we can see right here. It's just a little too dense. Again, I do not recommend stroking letter forms. Okay, so you've got your logo, and then you've got your monogram here. Now, what you're showing here is you're showing this is assured clear distance, right? But what you need to do is you need to kind of establish how you are going to determine what that space is. Typically, what we do is we'll take a letter from the logo or from the word mark, and we'll use that, okay, or an element from here. So basically, what you would do is this: so you would come over here and you would draw a bounding box around the logo itself. And then you would place the letter in the corner. Right here is a good example of how to do this. So to establish assured clear distance, you would take a pre-existing element in the logo, right? Then you would draw your bounding box around the logo, place that element in the corners, and that would determine your assured clear distance, right? We can see it again here. You take the A, you just draw that bounding box around your logo itself as close to the logo as possible. Place the A in the corners, and that establishes your assured clear distance. We could do that right here by taking this G, placing it in that corner to show that that's the assured clear distance. However, I think this is not a non-defining element right here. So in other words, if you're telling that you're telling the viewer that nothing is allowed up to the blue line. Well, how far is the blue line from the logo based on how big it is? It all has to do with scale, right? So you have to give us something to determine how far that space is, and that's something that determines that it should be a pre-existing element from the logo itself. Okay, so again, you've got assured clear distance here with your logo. You've got assured clear distance here with your logo. You've got assured clear distance here with your logo. All right, and then you've got your color. So what you want to do is you want to show us assured clear distance with your monogram and assured clear distance with your word mark. And okay, then you can go to your color palette, show your monogram, show your word mark. Remember, this is a style guide for all three. It's for your branding package, for all three elements associated with your branding package, not just the style guide for the logo itself. Okay, I'm not sure what this word, oh, there's you're saying that's your monogram. Okay, so make sure that you, determine, tell what's going on here. So the monogram is allowed to be used with with that color, or it's allowed to be used in grayscale. Okay, so make sure that you're telling the viewer exactly what's going on each page. The next thing I'd like to see in this style guide is the actual don'ts, like what you shouldn't do with the logo. And typically we show those by an international no sign and then whatever elements you have in the logo. So for example, you could show this in a wrong color. You could show it with the bird facing this way as a no. You could show it with a different typeface with a no. You could show it with a gradient on the bird with a no. You could show it with a gradient on the background with a no. You could change the colors. You could just try to think of 7 or 8 different situations which you don't want to allow anyone to brand in that particular way. You can see some examples here. Okay, so those are my recommendations moving forward. I'd like to see those changes made for final submission. If you have any questions or anything needs to be clarified, please let me know. I'll be glad to do that. All right, good job. Thank you very much.